Alrighty, you guys, this is episode number 292, and you are here because you are interested in fully understanding how to actually sell your program, how to pitch companies to sell companies, your training program, your courses, your content. You are definitely in the right place. I'm April Beach. My specialty is helping experts just like you and coaches and authors and speakers, subject matter experts and consultants package up your training programs and sell them to other companies, organizations, small businesses, even micro entrepreneurs, possibly just like you are. So if that's what you're in for, you are here in the right place. And so all of the show notes, so we have a lot of show notes. We provide a lot of resources for you guys here on this podcast. They can all be found by cruising over to our website at sweetlifeco.com. Simply click on the podcast, and this particular episode is number 292. So you can just enter number 292, and it'll take you right here with all the resources that I'm going to mention for you here on this show. On this show, we have our expert, Emily Hall, is back with us again this week, and we are diving into how to actually pitch companies. In last week's episode, we talked about identifying what companies to sell to, who actually values your program, what companies are out there looking to buy programs just like yours. Today, we're diving into how to actually pitch them. And that means we're diving into the nitty-gritty of what to say on your first pitch phone call, and who exactly what you want to talk to and what answers you are looking for exactly. And so if you felt like this is an intimidating process, or you don't really know where to start, maybe you've been selling courses and doing launches for years, right? And all of a sudden you want to pivot into this new, very smart and profitable way of doing business, and you have no idea where to start. You are going to find a great deal of confidence in today's conversation. Let me tell you, I'll just spill the beans ahead of time. It is way more simple than you probably think. I'm so excited for you to keep diving in with us today and actually how to pitch companies. And if you're ready to move into licensing, if you have a company who's already approached you that wants your programs, or if you are super smart and you realize and identify that this is a direction that you want to head in for your business, cruise over to sweetlifeco.com and apply to work with us, where we will hold your hand through the entire process of licensing your program to companies, even packaging it and giving you all the contracts you need to make that happen. Again, you can cruise over to sweetlifeco.com and just click on licensing, and we are there waiting to work with you. Okay, so again, this episode is all about unpacking what to say on those initial calls. And if you are ready for that, let's go ahead and dive in again with Emily Hall. All right, you guys, we are continuing in this little mini podcast series. We've been talking about licensing and how to get your courses into other companies for a few weeks here on the show. And now we're into the nitty gritty of it. It's like, actually, how do you actually sell your programs to companies? And we have our favorite person, Emily Hall, in here, who gets to work with our clients personally and help them sell their programs to companies, help them close these $1 million deals. Emily, I just have to say this, and we've done your intro before, but how much money in sales have you closed recently with your clients? It was some crazy number.
Yeah, it's up over 25 million. I think it's close to 30 these days.
That's crazy. Okay, so think about this amount of money, this amount of program sales. And so you're really getting a special treat by tuning into Emily today. And her area of expertise is helping you actually stand up confidently within the sales process, especially if you're somebody like me. You're somebody like many of our clients who have never sold a program to a company a day in your life. You don't even know where to start. And so in this episode, we're really diving into how to confidently move in this direction and move into the sales process of selling to companies. So let's just kind of start there. What is an overview of, what does it look like when you are selling a program to a company? Then then selling individually to people, they might have been consulting or coaching in the past. What is like the main difference between those two types of sales processes?
Yeah, so we call that B2B versus B2C. So B2B is your business to business. That's going to be your course licensing, your program licensing. B2C is business to consumer. That's where you have one buyer at a time. So some of the main differences are with B2B, you're typically selling a group of licenses, anywhere from 10 to 100 to 1,000, depends on the size of the organization and what their needs are. Whereas B2C, you're selling one seat at a time, which they're just very different. So typically B2B takes a little bit longer to close. It's bigger conversations. There's more dollars on the line. It's a bigger investment that an organization is making time-wise, energy-wise, resource-wise, dollars-wise, all of that. Whereas an individual, you're selling to a specific person at a specific phase, solving one problem. And you are, instead of engaging in a kind of multi-tiered sales process, you typically are, engaged in more of a longer marketing play, and then you have some sort of sales trigger where they are buying with maybe not even getting in contact with you at all. They may not have any direct relationship with you. They just are like, yes, I have seen this person online, I trust them, I know them, I want to buy their thing, I want to be in their world. Whereas B2B is a much more it's a much bigger stakes relationship. So there's a lot more involved in preparing for that, in moving through that process, and a lot more people that you have to get on board that have to say yes to it.
And much less of that marketing, they've seen you online forever and ever, right?
For sure. It's like very, very little. You need some of it for the street cred, It's you have to show them that you know what you're doing. You are legit. You have this presence. You have credibility. But it's a lot more about how the results that you've gotten, the value of the promise that you are bringing to them. That's the most important thing.
That's so exciting. So I think that those people are listening who have been in like the online marketing and social selling and posting on Instagram, every single day and doing your reels and doing your videos, those things are really not as important when we're talking about selling to B2B. And just like Emily said, having your credibility, you need to be good at what you do, right? You need to know what you're doing. You need to have an established thought leader type of or specialist in your area of expertise for sure. But even as far as an online platform, which we're not even talking about this in today's show, really the platform we play with is LinkedIn in this capacity, and not so much Facebook and Instagram and those type of places, which is kind of a breath of fresh air, I think, for our clients, who are listeners, who have been in the online coaching space for some time. So when we're talking about selling B2B, and when we are talking about moving into this direction, you're going to hear my dog crying in the background. Hello, everybody. He's very excited my kids are home. There you go. There's my dog crying in the background. I don't know if you could hear him. But when we're talking about moving in the sales direction, how does somebody start? Like, who do they look for? Where do they even begin in this process? I think that alone is an area of understanding that is very gray for a lot of people moving in B2B sales.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. It feels like that big, scary first step. Like when you're in social selling, it's that first figuring out how to post for the first time. It's figuring out like, okay, what direction do I go? What do I say? Who do I want to talk to? It's a very different game. It's a relationship game for sure. And so it's how do you leverage the relationships that you have? How do you build new relationships? How do you demonstrate your expertise and highlight what you do, the results you've gotten for people in more of a high quality way. So a lot of times we see people that will go and do speaking engagements and get leads for companies off of that are interested in learning more, or they'll host a community paid workshop, or they'll go speak at a conference. We see a lot of conversion off of speaking events, and then existing networks, tapping into your LinkedIn network. When people go onto LinkedIn, they're already in business mode, and decision makers tend to see that as more credible than the Instagrams, the Facebooks, the TikToks of the online world. So it's a much higher quality place to stay, like you said. But what you're really looking for, you're looking for someone who could be a champion for you. So finding somebody who sees what you do,